So, we are going to start off by talking about the symbolism. Look. Hi. Oh, I'm upside down. Wait. Oh
I'm having a video of this on my phone because the screencast thing won't work.
So we're going to start by talking about the symbolism
So annoying.
in the Telltale Heart. We're going to start with the coolest part of the whole thing, the eye. What does that eye represent? We know that the murderer, the narrator, wants to kill the old man because of his eye. So the first thing that we want to look at is we want to examine, how does he refer to the eye? What does he say? What are some of the words that he uses to describe the eye? So we know that one of the things he says, I'm going to write it in blue because that kind of seems to be a theme of it, okay? So he says it's a pale. He says it's blue. It has a film over it. So, pretty gross, right? Pale blue with a film over it. And then he compares it, uses that simile to say it's like a vulture, right? He uses that word right there. So the first thing you want to do when you're trying to find symbolism is you want to think to yourself, why is he using these words? What do these words, how do they relate to each other? What could it possibly mean? So the first thing we want to look at is, the word that sticks out to me the most is going to be this word vulture. Everybody knows what a vulture is, right? A vulture is a bird, right? A vulture is going to be a bird, but it's a specific type of bird. Vultures surround death, right? We see vultures when we see death. You'll see them swarming around you and above you if there's something dead, right? They have no feathers on their head and their eyes are all kind of gross looking because they have to be, and they have this like film over it because they have to take their heads, God made it, so they can take their heads and dig them into a carcass of an animal and eat that dead animal because they're scavengers, right? So vultures are always associated with death. So keep that in mind, okay? He compares it to a vulture, definitely for a reason, okay? Then we want to examine, okay, so he used vultures, and that reminds us of death. Now let's think about these words, blue and pale. If I am pale, if my skin looks pale, and I'm normally like a tan person or something, and my skin looks pale, that means I'm sick. I might be sick, or if you start to get pale, you might be dying, right? If someone can't breathe and they're dying, they start to turn blue, right? You start to turn blue whenever you start to die. Because your blood is like falling out of your, coming out of your body or whatever, and depleting, so you start to turn blue. Another word that he said, whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. We got the word cold right there. What about that word cold? Again, what happens to your body when you start to die, right? When you start to die, your body starts to get cold. So this eye, the words that he uses to describe this eye, all of this has to do with death. Whenever that narrator, who we already know is crazy, right? Because he starts off the story saying, I'm not crazy. Look how uncrazy I am. Look how good I was at killing this old man for absolutely no reason because he has a gross-looking eye, right? So we know that he's crazy. But the question is, why this eye? What does this eye look like to him? What does it remind him of? Why does the eye drive him so crazy? The eye drives him crazy because when he looks at it, what does it remind him of? All of these things relate to each other, right? That eye is going to be symbolic for death. It's going to be symbolic for death. When he looks at that eye, he sees this old man. He's definitely an old man, right? So we see this old man, and it reminds us of death. We remember when we look at him slowly dying that he's going to meet death soon, right? So when the narrator looks at him, he thinks of death. So we're going to come back to this. Don't lose this. We're going to come back to this, okay? All right, I'm going to pause the video and we'll move to the next one. Okay, y'all, so if you listen carefully, you can hear my mama's episode of Family Feud playing in the background, so just ignore that. So the last time we talked about the eye, this time we're going to talk about time. Because anytime they give us these images in literature, he's doing it for a reason. So we're seeing that eye repeated over and over again. Then he repeats more than once that he hears the heartbeat, and it's this low, dull, quick sound. He uses the word low, dull, quick sound, much like the sound a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. So what could he mean by that, okay? Why compare it to a watch? Why not compare it to something else, right? There's other things that make a boom, 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 boom sound. So why pick the sound of a watch enveloped in cotton? If you've ever had an old kind of watch, not an Apple Watch, but you know, the kinds that actually tick, or if you've been in a room with a real clock in it, you can hear it tick, 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 ticking, right? If you lay down, it says enveloped in cotton. If I've been sleeping before and I had my watch on and I could hear it at my ear underneath my pillow, kind of enveloped in the cotton, I can hear it ticking. And it's this low, dull, quick sound. And he said it kept getting louder and louder and louder. And we know that what he was comparing to that low, dull, quick sound was, of course, the heartbeat, right? He was talking about that heartbeat. But he compared it to the low, dull, quick sound, much like the sound a watch makes when enveloped in cotton, for a reason. He's referencing a watch, and watches keep time. Why is he talking about time more than once? I think he does it 3 times. I know at least 2 times. I have to look back. I think he says it 3 times, that it sounds like a watch enveloped in cotton. So, why talk about time? What does time have to do with any of this, right? Well, think about it, okay? You got to make these connections with it, okay? So, anytime you have a watch or a clock or something like that, it's going to be keeping up with time. And what happens with time? What happens to time eventually? Time is going to... Time runs out, right? Time runs out. We run out of time a lot of time, right? So why talk about running out of time? Why reference that? It makes you think of running out of time. And if you are running out of time alive, and we say, well, your time is running out. One day your time's going to run out. What does it mean if I say, well, one day your time's going to run out and it's all going to be over? What would I mean by that? Well, we know what I would mean is what? That you're dying, right? That death is going to eventually happen to you. So when your time runs out, death will eventually come for you. Death is coming to all of us. It's inevitable. Nobody can avoid death. Everyone is going to die, right? So, death will eventually come for you. So talking about that time is yet again another reminder that it could run out and that death could come for you, okay? And it's referencing that heartbeat because your heart keeps you alive, right? Your heart's got to keep beating. Heart's got to keep beating for it to mean that you're alive, right? So he uses that to symbolize it, to remind himself when he hears that heartbeat, when he hears that boom, 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 it's making him really nervous, right? When he went to go and he looked at the guy and he saw him in the bed and finally the light shone on his eye when he was getting ready to kill him, right? He hears the boom, 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 boom. And it gets louder and louder and louder. And that's what causes him to freak out and eventually kill the guy. And he does it because that sound, boom, 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 boom. He says it's the guy's heartbeat. Now, y'all, we all are smart enough to know that you can't hear another person's heart beating in their chest, right? But we already agreed that this guy's kind of crazy. He's definitely headed for the loony bin. So we can't really believe all that he's saying. So it's not the other guy's heartbeat, really. He's hearing this ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. And it's reminding him that his time is running out slowly, and it's going to run out eventually. All right, hold on to that. So yet again, we got this reference to death. Quick little fun, interesting fact. If you know the story of Peter Pan and Captain Hook, in the story of Peter Pan, we know that Peter Pan lives on the in Never Never Land where you never grow old, right? But Captain Hook is the only adult in that land. And the only thing that Captain Hook is scared of is the crocodile. Why is he scared of the crocodile? Because that crocodile wants to kill him. But what does that crocodile have in his belly? He has a clock. One day he swallowed a clock, and he said that that's the way Captain Hook always knew the crocodile was coming, because he could hear that clock coming for him. Well, what that really meant was Captain Hook's the only adult, whereas Peter Pan's never going to die because he's in Never Never Land where boys never grow old. Captain Hook's already an old man, so his fear, that clock coming after him, that crocodile, is death as well. Interesting little fact. Okay. Okay, so the computer went to
Oh.